What happens when a nation's boldest dreamer, its most defiant revolutionary, becomes the target of a deadly plot? On the very first day of a new year, on January 1st, 2025, the world awakened to shocking news. As fireworks lit up the skies in celebration of a new year in the heart of West Africa, a darker, more ominous explosion rocked the political landscape. An attempt had been made on the life of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the 35-year-old president of Burkina Faso. And with it, a clear message was sent. The battle for Africa's independence is not just political, it's now a matter of life and death. This wasn't an ordinary assassination attempt. It was an orchestrated, high-level attack on a man who has become the living embodiment of resistance to foreign dominance. Traoré, revolutionary, nationalist, and Pan-Africanist, has stood firm against the very powers that once colonized his land. And now it seems those powers or their proxies want him gone. But who exactly is Ibrahim Traoré? Why does his leadership spark such intense admiration at home and such hostility abroad? To understand the magnitude of this attack, we must first understand the man it targeted. Traoré's rise was nothing short of extraordinary. In a nation plagued by poverty, insurgency, and political corruption, he emerged from the ranks of the military, not as a career politician, but as a soldier of the people. In September 2022, he led a popular military transition that ousted a government many viewed as compromised by foreign influence. At just 34, he became Africa's youngest head of state. But more than his age or his military credentials, it was his message that electrified the nation. Burkina Faso must reclaim its destiny. From day one, Traoré rejected the remnants of colonial control. He challenged France's military and economic presence. He began the process of reclaiming Burkina Faso's gold, land, and infrastructure from foreign interests. And he promised a future where the Burkinabe people, not foreign companies, would decide how their country is run. This bold vision made him a hero to millions across Africa. But it also made him a dangerous threat to the global status quo. Over the past decades, Burkina Faso has often been portrayed in Western media as a fragile, failing state. But under Traoré, that narrative began to shift. He removed French troops, ended exploitative mining contracts, and began redirecting national policy towards self-reliance and Pan-African solidarity. Traoré stopped speaking in colonial languages at public events. He pushed for local languages, indigenous education models, and community-based development. His government launched major projects like the Renaissance City, a revolutionary urban plan that prioritizes African design, African labor, and African materials. To many African youth, he became a symbol of hope. Proof that a new kind of leadership was possible. But hope, as history shows, often invites hostility. So when the news of an assassination attempt broke, the question on everyone's mind was the same: who wants Traoré dead, and why? Internally, there are those within the Burkinabe military and elite class who resent Traoré's break from tradition. Some view him as too radical. Others fear losing their privileges. And there are whispers, unconfirmed but persistent, of certain factions aligning with foreign powers to remove him. Externally, the threats are more visible. France, whose companies have long profited from Burkina Faso's gold mines and resources, has lost billions since Traoré began nationalizing assets. French troops have been expelled. French influence diminished. And for many in Paris, Traoré is now a dangerous precedent, one that other African nations might follow. But it's not just France. The US, the EU, and multinational corporations all have stakes in Africa's raw materials and geopolitical position. A Burkina Faso that breaks free from their sphere of influence sets off alarm bells in Western capitals. To these global powers, Traoré represents a challenge not just to their interests in one country, but to their entire model of influence across the continent. The assassination attempt, then, wasn't just a personal attack, it was a political statement. A warning to others who dare to rise. And a test of the resilience of the new Africa that Traoré is trying to build. In the wake of the attack, streets in Ouagadougou filled with tension. Rumors swirled. Security was heightened. Traoré reappeared days later, calm, defiant, and unharmed. But the message was clear: the road ahead would not be easy. Many fear this may be just the beginning of more direct efforts to destabilize his government. Some even predict a foreign-backed coup if assassination fails. Burkina Faso has experienced multiple coups in recent decades. Could the forces of the old regime return in a new disguise? But there's more at stake here than one man's life or one country's politics. Across the region, a movement is growing. In Mali, Niger, Guinea, and other parts of West Africa, Young leaders in military governments are echoing Traoré's message: end neocolonialism, reclaim national resources, and build unity across the continent. The idea of Pan-Africanism, once ridiculed or ignored, is back at the center of political discourse, and it's not just talk. Actions are being taken. French troops are being pushed out of more countries. ECOWAS, long seen as a proxy for Western interests, is losing credibility. And a new Sahel alliance is emerging, rooted in sovereignty, cooperation, and self-defense. Traoré has become a lightning rod. His survival gives strength to the movement. His removal could shatter its momentum. One of the clearest examples of Traoré's vision is the Renaissance City. This isn't just a government housing project. It's a blueprint for what African development could look like without foreign debt or foreign blueprints. Built using local materials, designed by African architects, and funded by state revenue from nationalized industries, it represents a direct rejection of the World Bank IMF development model. It's about more than buildings. It's about dignity. This city symbolizes the dream of an Africa that doesn't wait for approval from Paris or Washington. An Africa that builds for itself, by itself. But such dreams come with danger. If successful, Renaissance City becomes a model. If Traoré survives, his policies become precedent. And if Burkina Faso rises, other nations may follow. This is what makes him so dangerous to the current world order. The assassination attempt on January 1st wasn't just a bullet aimed at one man. It was an assault on an entire movement. It was a desperate act by those who fear that the tide is turning. That Africa, long suppressed and controlled, is beginning to awaken. Traoré has now survived 18 assassination attempts, according to sources close to his administration. Each one has only hardened his resolve. He knows that his mission is greater than politics. It's a battle for identity, for dignity, for the right of African nations to choose their own future. But can he survive the next attempt? And if he doesn't, what happens to the movement he inspired? These are the questions haunting Burkina Faso, and indeed all of Africa today. Will other African leaders carry the torch forward? Will the people continue the resistance if their leader is taken out? Or will fear silence the calls for independence? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The events of January 1st, 2025 have changed everything. Traoré is no longer just a national leader, he is a symbol, a rallying cry, a living challenge to a system that has dominated Africa for centuries. And whether or not he survives the next bullet, the idea he represents is now alive across the continent. So, what do you think? Who's really behind this assassination attempt? Should Burkina Faso strike back? And can this movement survive without Traoré at its helm? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories on Black history, African civilization, and the leaders shaping the future of the continent. Africa is waking up and the world is watching.